That's good. That's good. Okay. Is it recording? That's good. Okay. Is it recording? That's good. It's unusual because I can hear you this time, whereas normally I can't hear you if it's not coming through. I can hear you. That's what's very unusual. If it's recording just what's there, then it's recording you. You would have thought. Oh yeah, okay. Well, you can't hear this, but yeah, it's pretty much he's just apologizing for the fact that well, nothing's happening yet because we're technical difficulties. Pretty much, I can hear him, but he can't. But he's not recording, which is unusual. Yes, but nobody who's recording or streaming can hear you. Yeah, but I can hear you. That's what's the odd thing. Because we've had this problem before, but in that particular case, it's he's saying nothing because the thing's turned off or something like that. But any luck on that, or do you think you're not isolating the feed, or? I mean, I guess it is possible to lock off your own feed so it doesn't record. But is it coming through on the stream? Because me hearing you doesn't prove anything.
Yeah. Yes, I'm back now.
You were never on. Because never on the stream. Me hearing you doesn't prove anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently nobody's watching, but who gives flying monkeys?
Well, you are recording this, so you'll probably want to edit out this part, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'll probably just put an annotation, just say, go to this part, because I screwed up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
We both recently just watched it. What's your thoughts, mate?
I think it was very good, actually. I mean, it's pretty much what Mission Impossible should be as a film, I think.
Yeah.
Because I thought the previous film was also very good as well. So I think.
Yeah. I think wasn't the balance a fan was of the off previous in the film so much, but I recently rewatched it and I became a fan. It's sort of grown on me.
It's got a lot to it.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a lot to it. It's like the multiple layers of plot, which you can actually understand.
Yes.
Yes, I am referring to the first film where I'm stealing the Knox file, but I'm not stealing the Knox file. Actually, I am going to steal the Knox file, and I still can't work out what that particular bit.
That wasn't as much of a problem, I don't think.
Okay, but who was he stealing the Knox file for?
He was stealing the Knox file for a arms dealer.
Yes, but but it went through like several permutations in the film as to him not stealing it. He wasn't going to hand it over. He was going to hand it over.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I do know what you mean. It is one of those.
Was it a double bluff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So this, so only the first one really has a plot like that.
Yes. Mission Impossible 2 sucked. I think everybody can agree on that.
It did have the interesting thing which has been commented on about when two people charge at each other on motorbikes and then jump into the air, because as was commented on, it's at the time, that's got to be two people having exactly the same idea and deciding to do that at exactly the same time.
Yes.
As if they're in agreement on that. So it did have that.
I do feel that was a good thing. I don't know. The film
but anyway,
originally was good, but
it doesn't. With time and actually watching it again, it kind of loses something.
Yes, it does.
And I haven't had a problem with any of the other Mission Impossibles. In fact, they're very good.
Yes, they are. Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is 5.
Yeah. I think it is 5, yeah.
Is really, really good.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of...
Well, let's start off with the flaws. There is only one that I can tell you.
In terms of plot flaws, I can think of one.
Yes.
But we were discussing this one. Now, this is, as you can imagine, this is a massive spoiler.
Yes. Well, I've basically put this as a spoiler thing for the entire film, so...
Okay, yeah, this is a massive spoiler on this one. Apparently, the scanners in the when Ethan's swimming into the water, to the coolant water. Sorry, I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still the fact that it had to be full of water.
Yeah.
For coolant, with electronics, I'm just like, okay, it's a security thing, yes, but so ignoring that, and that is still a point.
Yeah.
The fact that he was just pulling stuff off, and it was like, this stuff doesn't seem to be, like protected from water.
No.
How do you do server maintenance as well and add people?
Yeah.
It was like, it can only be accessed like that, and you're like, what? So somebody makes a mistake, and then somebody goes, "Oh crap!"
Here's
now
another thing.
Go in there.
The coolant.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that actually be sort of not cool, but actually, as it
should be hit.
Heating up.
It's got a flow going? It's got a flow going through to actually take off the water.
Yes.
Take off the heat. Yeah, it should have been. I'm presuming that it was warmer. The water was warmer than it should be because it was cooling all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm basically thinking of water cooling a PC. What's the difference?
They were using the flow of the river in this particular case to water cool it.
It's a neat idea, I've got to admit. But
it's just kind of funny that, it's just like, well, we got some server maintenance to do. Oh, crap.
Yes.
I'll just go down there with the thing. Now, are we clear on what I'm changing here?
Yeah. Do you realise how much money this costs to add this person?
Yes, it requires getting somebody from, I think, Hawaii or kind of Malaysia who's a free diver.
Yes, yes.
And get them to do this. But anyway, yeah. Aside from that, and it's a really good security system. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that yeah, they think that there's apparently no maintenance is needed on this system, which apparently is designed to never have maintenance.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much. There's a thing where they say all metal that's detected, you can't go in there with anything metal. And then which one they say, so no scuba tanks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ceramics could probably be used to make.
Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only problem of the entire film. Now, we only just watched it. So give us some slack if it's like you're watching this like a couple of years later. But
yeah, really good. But at the moment, yeah,
that really screams.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's nothing that's really There's nothing that really doesn't make sense. They're trying to add it, tie everything up, and just have actual character development.
Yeah.
Obviously, the main characters stay pretty much the same, but some of the side characters, like the guy who's head of the new CIA task force, which effectively took over from the IMF, yeah.
Yeah.
And was pretty much like, well, we don't need you anymore, and all that stuff. And then later on, he's like, yeah, okay, maybe we do.
Yes.
So that was a nice development on that one, because he started out with him being the guy saying, well, pretty much saying things you knew were wrong. So not exactly a bad guy, but just a guy who didn't really know anything about the business.
No. What I have to say about the film is the acting from everybody was brilliant.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I can't think of a single bad actor there. I mean...
No,
I can't actually.
No. Direction was good as well.
Yeah.
Special effects, excellent.
And not over the top.
No. They didn't.
There were clearly.
Sorry, go on.
I would say there were probably some CG things that we just didn't see, but they were very well blended.
Yes.
If there was some CG, then I didn't notice it because it was blended in with stuff.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was practical effects. I think if if we actually do the whole making of thing and everything like that, I think we'll find that a lot of the time it was probably nearly all of it was still practical.
Yes, yeah, I'd say so. I do feel that the film had enough action, but also had enough of a plot.
Actual intrigue and Mission Impossible stuff, yeah.
Yes.
It had
the trap
that moved
of the second Mission Impossible film, that basically action, somebody's poisoned, action.
It was a bit more than that. There was an actual plot about a virus.
Yes,
and they did.
But it was a very John Woo affair. Basically, 98% action, 1% plot.
I'd say maybe 3% plot. There was a thing, but yeah, I do see what you mean.
Very. Oh, go on.
Well, I did. I also recognised, and I don't think he was in previous films actually. The guy who played Hawkeye.
Yes, he was in previous films. He was in the previous one.
I'm not sure his role was as big as it was in this film. Because I think he was more section guy who did some things, but I think they've expanded his role in this one.
No, they have.
I don't recall
they have actually expanded the role.
Yeah.
They have expanded the role a little, but in the previous film, he was good.
Little.
He was still good in that.
Oh, he was good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm saying I think they expanded his role so he's more a part of the team.
Yes.
Really? Because before he was like the overhead guy.
Yeah. The one problem I have with this film...
Yeah?
Well, it's not really a problem. It's more... Apparently, according to you, I haven't heard if this is the official word or anything.
I'm not sure if that... it was mentioned to be possibly the last one, and then it was mentioned in the film as possibly last mission.
Yes. I don't know. They could pull off another one.
Their options open. I think they're keeping their options open because they've got the team and the IMF has come back and stuff like that. But I think unlike other things,
yes,
other franchises and things like that, where they just say, well, we're clearly going to do this, and I think they wrapped it up enough that if it was, it was.
Indeed.
And it wasn't left just with most of the plot like floating, most of the things like the entire thing floating in the air, and we're like, well, what? And then?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because there's a lot of films which actually just assume Battleship. It assumed it had a sequel. It just straight up assumed.
Yes.
So Battleship actually ends with them not defeating the aliens.
Yeah, but did anybody care?
No, they didn't. But technically, the film ends with the whole, oh, by the way, you didn't win.
Yeah. One of the interesting things is I watched the previous film of Mission Impossible recently, and at the end of that film, the Syndicate is actually mentioned, which is quite interesting.
Oh, cool. So they they did actually consider the...
Yeah.
So it wasn't out of the blue that he would spend a year looking for the Syndicate because it was mentioned as a thing.
Yeah, it was mentioned as a thing. Basically, what happens is that you see him walk off, and it's like, "Hello, Mr. Hunt. Your mission is to take out, basically investigate the Syndicate," and it's just like, and then fades to black, and it's like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, very clever.
So that was the assignment was okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it shows they actually had that planned.
Yes.
They actually had that all planned out. Yeah, which not surprising. Yeah.
No, I can't really blame them on that.
No, it's
The one thing that this film does well is non-over-the-top gadgets.
Yeah, all the gadgets are gadgets that like the book that's actually not a book.
Well,
guide that's not a guide.
Yeah, I'll explain that. In the film, Benji, Simon Pegg's character, receives a book, leaflet.
Well, actually, technically, first he received tickets to the opera that he didn't win.
No, let's not go too far into that. But
pretty much, which he didn't win, and then he receives what seems to be effectively like a pass and a guidebook to the opera, and then he can walk into the opera with that.
Yes.
Not without a problem, but it's actually not that because it's actually a computer which is designed to look like it.
Yeah, it is e-ink. It is an e-ink display because it acts exactly like an e-ink display.
But it's more than that because it's also physically looks like the opera thing.
Yes, but that's e-ink paper.
Oh yeah. But it's clearly been done to look specifically like something, so that definitely counts as a gadget right there.
It is not a invisible car or a ring that can blow up a...
Although they do have the car that you have to put your hand on there to
biometric scan.
Have your fingerprint scanned.
Yeah.
I think it's more than fingerprints. Yeah, it's biometric. Yeah.
Yes.
It's otherwise the door doesn't open, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, nice touch.
And I'm trying to think what other gadgets there are. No, most of it it's Simon Pegg hacking.
Yeah.
But that's just using equipment that exists.
The sniper rifles.
Yes, those are nice.
3 sniper rifles. Hitman would be jealous.
Yeah, Hitman would really be jealous. However, they are really specialized sniper rifles.
They are, but Hitman would go, "Oh yeah, I want one."
Yeah, just in case he has to go to an opera or something. Yeah,
yes,
pretty much. If
there's one that's a policeman's truncheon. For God's sake.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that that was actually a thing that I was just like, okay, well, it's okay. It's all the stuff on his person.
Yeah.
That makes it. I'd say, yeah, that has uses outside of an opera. The other sniper rifles, yeah, the clarinet and stuff like that are cool.
Yes, but very situational. But the technology. No, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, but also the fact that they were all designed. They're all designed to kind of fit in with their cover IDs and everything.
Yes. Yes.
Which also shows that the Syndicate actually has access to a lot of technology and b a lot of resources.
Now.
And the same kind of specialists that Ethan Hunt and the IMF had.
If I had a chance to interview either Tom Cruise or the person who wrote The Syndicate, there is one question I have to ask, and I would love to know.
Yeah.
Is this a sort of, not a nod, but a nudge towards Bond?
Yes, because this is something that I didn't pick up, but there are some similarities. It's that the Syndicate is said to be, it would be an untraceable judge, jury, and executioner. An executioner. It would make the Prime Minister somebody who had effectively a force that he could do without any moral restraint or anything.
Yes.
To say this needs doing, do it.
Yeah.
And with funds to match.
It screams 00 section from the James Bond films.
There was one other... Yeah, it does. Up to a certain point it does. And also some of the stuff that they used was also very 007 as well.
Yes.
And it was like they are the opposite spy organisation.
Yes.
So they were also a spy organisation.
Yes. Here is the most interesting thing. I don't think Hunt used a gun to kill someone in the film.
I was trying to remember when he actually... I think... Did he shoot one person?
That was with the tranq dart.
You're right. I can't actually recall a situation where he actually shot somebody.
Yeah. That wasn't... He shot one person with a sniper rifle, but that was to actually get them out of the way.
Yeah, which is I do very much like the scene, because he's just looking saying, there are 2 people, I cannot shoot both of them, what can I do? Okay, a flesh wound.
A flesh wound.
This I can do, because then it gets security in.
Yeah. It is a very interesting film. Because
it actually takes the whole thing about choice. It's just like, I have a choice. I just can't do what I need to do, and that's that also highlights the fact that at that particular point he is lacking the team for support.
Yes.
Because in the previous films he could just and when the IMF was kind of fully set up and everything.
Yeah.
He could have called on somebody else, but it's him kind of being like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of need.
Yeah,
maybe I can need some support here. Or at least, and it's not him saying it, but he's looking like, okay, yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, and not to mention the whole thing about the various. I like the fact that various team members did different things. Like Simon Pegg's just been put to some
yes,
some kind of dead end computer, effectively for what he is.
Yeah, menial work.
It's not even menial work. I think it's just, but it's way below what he can do.
Yes,
because he can do all that and also play on the Xbox that he's got set up.
Yeah, Xbox / PlayStation or something.
Yes, I think it was an Xbox. But I'm not. But pretty much he can do all that, and then nobody's the wiser.
Yes.
So clearly, and one guy quit and all that stuff, and it shows the fact that they actually did genuinely dismantle the IMF.
Yes.
Which they could have just gone halfway and just dismantled his one team.
It wouldn't have worked.
No, because otherwise
because they've done that before.
Not only that, but also other IMF agents would just deal with the situation.
Yes.
Really, it required the IMF being out of the way and a pretty brute force and really not very new at the job, but not very good at it, organisation to be there.
Yeah.
For them to actually expand their operation.
Okay, can you talk for a minute, because I've got to do something.
Yep, okay. So, yeah, so pretty much, I mean, I think the ceramic is one of the main ones that I can think of. As being problems, but yeah, I would say I think it will stand the test of time in terms of not having a massive plot flaw, and because it's designed. The film is designed pretty much, I'd say, to be, well, if a spy was doing a conspiracy, how would this work? And this is how it works. It is a spy agency that creates problems and then hides itself and uses that to create change. And it uses, and I do like the fact that the Syndicate actually just uses agents who are pretty much disenfranchised by the nature of the job.
Okay. Have you finished, or...
I think it's about that, because and this guy and the guy knows that, and the people who set it up know that those people will often be very highly trained people.
Yes.
Because they've got the experience to be disenfranchised. So it's very which also allows for another thing.
Go on.
Which this film can do pretty much with impunity, which is throw really experienced people, as in agent level people, against them.
Yes.
And have a reason.
And have a good reason.
Yeah,
not you've just gone rogue and...
or even these guys are quite good. You can actually throw people who have agent training and then just have it be a real talent, which it is for the team, because they're facing pretty much mirrors of themselves.
Yeah.
All these agents are very good.
Yes.
That they're fighting.
Yeah.
They do the same thing. So you can actually have like bike chases with people doing really difficult stunts, and that makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does. One of the things that the film also does very, very well is doesn't overblow the stunts. With Mission Impossible 2, You knew that the last stunt that was really good and big was him driving through the fire.
Yeah.
And the bike chase afterwards was, well, yeah.
It wasn't bad as a bike chase, but for one thing, bike chases aren't really my. Let's just say there's a film called Torque, which I think also stars Tom Cruise, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. No.
It doesn't. Okay, Torque doesn't star Tom Cruise, but it's a film called Torque, which is just about bike racing, and that doesn't appeal to me. So, but
No.
I do like. But when a chase is done well and filmed well, I like watching it. But bike chases generally aren't.
No.
There's something about the way that you got to track the person on the bike doesn't work.
But the way they did the bike chases in this one, they even did POV shots.
Yeah, they did.
That is something I have got to say is a clever thing to do for a bike chase.
Yeah.
And
because
is
it shows
ballsy.
the fact they're leaning left. Well, I would say it shows the fact that they can go left, they're going left and right and everything, and the fact that they what they're actually doing, and it so allows to keep track.
Yes, it does.
But also, during the entire scene, there was a very specific thing that you could tell. You could tell that the fact that they were aware of being a possibility, and they just constantly worked, and they worked to prevent that actively.
Go on.
Which
what was it?
Knowing who was chasing whom. You notice that Ethan isn't wearing any biking gear. She has a patch on there deliberately to show who she is. The rest of the guys deliberately put their helmets down.
Yes.
Just so you know, which makes it seamless. You can just watch the thing and know who's chasing whom and shooting whom, due to the way they film it. Which is a very important thing.
If Michael Bay is watching, learn from this movie and improve. I will type this into the chat in big, bold letters if you ask me nicely.
I would say the people who need to learn from this movie the most,
yes,
are actually French film directors. Yeah. So because this is how you do multiple shots at different angles and done cleverly and creatively.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah, it is, and the French film directors I'm talking about are the ones who do the long pan shots that go through half of nothing before going to the characters, which is one thing that distinguishes films like Ronin and stuff like that, which I find so annoying because it's like, but this film does. Makes use of makes a clever use of the camera, and it does a lot of standard camera work where somebody walks to the left and it just does that. But there's also some clever bits that you look and think, "Wow, that's clever."
Also, one of the things,
but there's nothing bad.
There is nothing bad about this film.
There's nothing bad at all, about that. But there's nothing bad about the way it's filmed at all, as far as I can think of, and that is impressive considering they've got things like Ethan Hunt in what could be a really confusing water environment.
Yes, that.
But it's not. You can always track where he is.
There is a little bit of CG in that, but you forgive
absolutely.
It very quickly.
A little more than I would say the CG in that.
Yeah.
Is the fact that it's only half there.
Yes, I'd say so.
Because they wouldn't make a full chamber like that, because that puts the actor in genuine danger.
Yeah. But
so I think it's only half there, and then it spins, and then he kind of ducks, and there's a bit. It's not. I think maybe the spinner is real, but it's in a kind of less complicated tube.
Yes.
Donut-shaped tube, and then the rest of the stuff is filmed in a half thing where he can come up for air whenever he wants, effectively.
Yeah.
So I think, there was some CG there.
Filming in water, I cannot understate how hard I feel that could be. Any film that decides to film in water, I have the utmost respect for.
I would say more specifically underwater, because...
Yes. Yeah, that too.
Because if we're saying in water, then water worlds should have been damn near impossible, but it's not.
Did you
because
see the
they
film?
Don't dive. It's very mechanically things happen, but they're always filming above water generally, except for some of the bits.
For God's sakes,
and they're CG, I think.
For God's sakes, a Pinewood studio is actually built and designed to handle water scenes.
Yeah,
and that was from The Spy Who Loved Me. And that was the...
I'm not...
Yeah, it was. It was built and designed for The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh, really? In total?
Yeah. You remember that big... the ship area? The tanker? Inside of the tanker?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
That wasn't...
That was actually...
a model. There was actual water there.
Okay, that's actually... Okay, so technically they were still above water when they were doing that scene, but...
But it's damn impressive for the time.
Oh, for the time, yeah. And in later Bond films, they actually show actual people in diving suits and stuff like that. So I would imagine they must have more facilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't... It's not easy to do as a scene, and they managed to do that with the whole him finding the thing and putting it in and putting it out. It's as Anna is saying that being Anna is saying what woe betide anybody who actually gets fired or dies.
Yes,
because you have to do that to replace their ID.
Yeah. Oh.
No. Literally. It was made completely clear in the film that is the only way.
I suppose so. Yeah.
No.
Oh yes, it was, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, there was no other way of doing this. So yeah.
Now, the car chase scene. Well, it wasn't a car chase, but the use of the car.
Yes.
Was exceptional. It wasn't...
Yeah.
There was no gunfire from the protagonists. It was all from the antagonists of the scene. And it was just incredible use of a car. Now, we're not talking Fast and Furious use of a car where they can make it spin it around in 10 seconds flat and somehow turn backwards and still look factory new. This was use of a car that pretty much meant, I think about 5 cars were pretty much totaled.
I think so. I mean, you could see dents from when it spun and then hit something and then went away. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think doing car stunts like that, I respect the film more for them doing it. When a film like Fast and Furious does car stunts, they don't know what they're doing.
More than that, it's also they absolutely don't know what they're doing. They think that somehow showing. Here's the thing I've seen actually.
Go on.
With Fast and Furious and other ones which either don't really care or not very good.
Go on.
And that is the fact that they have the cars going in a straight line a lot, or like following from behind or from the side.
Yes.
They're very much easy shots to get. And that is something I have noticed being a real thing.
Let's put it this way. The shots in Rogue Nation are Top Gear class. Now, what do I mean by that? The people who made Top Gear, I'm not sure about the future episodes. We haven't seen any new ones yet, but the people who made the Top Gear with Jeremy Clarkson had an excellent producer. He's currently got onto the new Top Gear, new thing with Netflix, I think. Made reviews of cars, and they did shots that cinematographers, I think, learnt from, because it makes.
I think it's more the fact that it makes the most boring car look good.
Yes.
And it allows you to keep track of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And that's what you see in Rogue Nation, and the fact that you know what's happening, and just doing a turn looks good.
Yes. Going down a flight of stairs looks good.
Yeah. It does, because if you compare, it actually looks better. Because a good comparison, I thought, is if you look at the difference between how it's filmed in Bourne, which is a good film, yes, and how it's filmed in Rogue Nation. I prefer how it's filmed in Rogue Nation.
Bourne has the trouble that it's too gritty.
Yeah.
Which is
precisely
cam.
why he's driving it.
Now, here's the thing. There is no shaky cam in this film, I've got to say that.
Bourne has very little shaky cam itself, but it's also the fact that in its grittiness as well, they actually have things like he's driving a Mini because they want gritty realism. Whereas in this, they do dispense with that quite a lot, because it's not just BMWs. It's the fact that, where did the BMW come from?
What do you mean?
Where did the BMW actually appear from?
But frankly,
it's an IMF BMW. It's got biometrics and everything.
Yeah, but frankly, who gives a flying monkeys?
I don't care either. It was in a safe house. He clearly showed that the IMF has various safe houses that nobody knows about.
Yes.
Like he just goes on the boat and just goes, here it is.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
One of the things I like is that Ethan Hunt is disavowed. He hotwires the locking system.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
nope, not you.
Yeah, this is pretty funny. It's like,
yeah.
And I like the way the film treats all of its characters and treats the cinematography. It takes its time building up the story.
Oh yeah. It actually says, yes, we got a story, but we want to build up the multiple layers of it.
Yeah.
And I suspect that on a second viewing,
yes,
there will be some other signs that the plot was going to be that way.
Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee
that you didn't know. Though we didn't notice at the time, because first time we didn't know the plot was going that way.
Yes.
I suspect. For instance, like there will be some the file will be something specifically on one of the guys who has a role later on.
Yeah, I feel that this film is excellent. Will it win awards?
I think it.
It should.
I don't know. I think it's. The awards are very biased, and lots of people just kind of ignore certain awards.
Yes.
Simply because of that. But
yeah,
this film actually does multiple locations very well, in the fact that it feels like those locations should feel.
Yes. And I can tell you, it does London beautifully. It is not.
Yeah, and it's. Oh yeah, London is London. London. It's like it's done pretty much. It's like I would say Rogue Nation. That part of it is set up pretty much so that you could just walk in those areas, and something could happen for Rogue Nation, and you wouldn't think,
twice.
"Wow, that's so out of place. That's just ridiculous." And that could never happen. If it did, then it wouldn't happen that way. It's very. And now the thing that I think we're subconsciously comparing this one to is we just watched the Fast and the not exactly just watched, but probably a week or so ago. It's the Fast and Furious one set in London. Now the problem is, it's not London at all.
I'm sorry. We could do a whole vlog on how Fast and Furious is the crappiest film in existence.
We probably will do we'll do a talk or a riff or something.
Yeah, we
on
will.
This film, on that film at some point. But there's so much to say. But the thing about it, one of the key differences is the fact that in the Fast and Furious film, London was pretty much America. Transplanted there when you're like and you were just going through, and every single time we were just like, well, this can't be London.
I do feel that the film is very well paced.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's got. They're never. What? Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, pretty much. It's never actually. Thing about it is the fact it's never too quick.
Yes.
And all the aspects of the plot are given the time they need.
Yeah.
To mature. Now this could have been quite messy.
Yes.
Because technically it has. Okay, I'm just trying to think how many different plots there's. Okay, there's the British spy chief who doesn't want to admit that he created the problem. The Prime Minister who said no to it and has to deal with the consequences of somebody who made it authorized to him only. The fact that the IMF is being pursued at all times.
Yeah.
Effectively as traitors. Okay, yeah, that's there as well.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think that there are probably other. There's also them dealing with the fact that they are disavowed. And that is a little thing like that. Ethan Hunt is just like is having to deal with the fact that he can't call on these resources.
No. He can't.
He's got to he can't Ethan that's the reason Ethan couldn't call pretty much anyone when he pretty much works out what they're going to do, which is try and assassinate or blow somebody up.
Yes.
And as a result of that, the guy dies.
Yeah.
Because he can't say, I'm with the IMF.
Yeah,
They'll come and say, we need to take you into protection. Which is why, and that's called upon later on.
Yeah.
Because after that guy got blown to smithereens earlier on,
yes,
it made sense in the plot for the former head of the IMF to actually say, well, wait a minute, we should actually warn somebody this time.
Yes.
Instead of just letting them to get blown to smithereens again. And that kind of fits, and that fitted totally with the plot of him, the subterfuge of him doing that and the reasons why.
Indeed.
But that totally wouldn't have happened if they'd had access to any resources.
Quite.
Or just being able to say, just don't get in the car, we'll protect you.
there is another fault with the film.
Okay.
The soundtrack is not very memorable.
I can't really remember. There's the only part I can really remember is the soundtrack with do 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 with their redo.
Yes, but
and also not to mention effectively, I think it was as close to the absolute original Mission Impossible thing when it said this will self-destruct in pretty much the vinyl
record.
Mission statement. And the vinyl record mission statement, which I think is as close in the sound and the way it's delivered as to being the original. The original Mission Impossible. If you choose to accept it.
Yeah.
Thing. So I would say the sound was deliberately crackly because that was a homage.
Yes.
Now, the thing that occurred to me with that was that they did the homages right.
Yes.
There were references to the first film.
Yeah.
And to the original TV series. However, unlike Die Another Day, it was not consumed by references or buried in them.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that.
And that is, there was like a thing like, okay, you're going to a record shop, and this is like a new assignment, and because that's how they got it the assignment with technology at the time. So yes.
Yeah.
I mean, also I would say that I completely distrusted the girl.
Yes.
I immediately thought she was Syndicate. And
yeah.
I was just like, oh yes, you're Syndicate. Well, actually, when the trap was sprung, I did. Until that, I had no idea about the trap. I was just like, that was well played with the whole having having the reason why. Because that was like the original mission statement with it and the reason is because we are the Syndicate. And at which point, like, oh dear, because it showed just how far they infiltrated. Because they were just like, no, we have replaced your mission statement.
Yeah, your mission statement no longer counts.
Yeah, it doesn't count anymore because we control all that stuff. We are that deep in. Which they indeed were.
We control the horizontal, the vertical, the suppressors you have.
Pretty much. If you go officially to try and talk to anyone, we can be official.
Yes.
Now, the thing I would say is...
Go on.
The trailer presented it differently, and I like the fact that the trailer does do that.
Yes, it does.
What specifically does the trailer make out that that's not true?
That they are actually just a small group of people.
Not quite. No, not quite what I got from that. Actually, not just the opposite.
Oh.
The IMF. The IMF is taken down.
Yes.
Thing is, the trailer makes it look as if the organisation that takes over is the anti-IMF.
Ah, of course, yes.
It's quite deliberately, because I was like, wait, they're not the IMF. It makes it look as if the organisation take over the fighting is just like, oh no, now we're official, a bit like Cobra.
Yes, yeah, I haven't seen that film actually. I think I should.
Oh yes, you should, and yeah, and no, I'm not going to give any spoilers.
No.
Because this is a spoiler for one film, not the other. But but pretty much, it actually makes it seem as if instead of the CIA guy, the CIA taking over, and completely messing it up, but not being actually evil, they're just, in some cases, negligent, and in others, just not very good.
Indeed.
But instead of that, it makes it seem like the anti-IMF organization has taken over as the main organization.
Yeah, it does.
So they're effectively fighting pretty much all the spy authority.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. The film's not that at all.
No.
So yeah, that trailer did very well of making you want to see the film.
It did.
But hiding the actual reality of the plot.
Now, can we just say this right now?
Sure.
It's a better trailer than the Man from U.N.C.L.E. film.
Yes.
Because I am an original
many trailers.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. fan. And
I can't say I've seen a single episode.
I have seen, not all of them, but 35, maybe more.
Okay.
Of the originals.
Well, right, okay.
How wrong that trailer gets that series is impressive. Now, I know it's Guy Ritchie, and I know he did good work with the Sherlock films. But the Sherlock films are not a series. And, well,
I'd say it's also... It may be... The thing about that thing is, it may be a good film in its own right.
Yes.
But it won't be Man from U.N.C.L.E., and that's specifically what they're saying.
Yeah.
That is, I think, one of its problems.
It is.
It's like Star Wars Episode 1 would have been a good film.
If it was not a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's actually its curse.
Yes, it is. Now, this is slightly another off-topic again. Do not see Fantastic Four, the new film. Oh my god, is it rubbish? Apparently.
Well, yeah, the Americans think it's rubbish.
Yeah,
because they see it first, as you can imagine. Yeah,
it's a non-Marvel controlled Marvel film. If you see what I mean, it's by Marvel. It's not by Marvel Studios. It's by is it Fox or is it? I think it's by Fox. Or is it by?
Okay.
One of the others, but it's not any good. Do not see it. Just don't bother. Forget about the Fantastic Four. Wait until you get to see Deadpool. Okay, let's end this soonest because I think we've been waffling on for a while.
Well, not really. I mean, it's. I would say I'm just trying to think of something else to say about Rogue Agent. I mean, okay, good use of the side characters.
Very
and
good.
The main characters. Everybody had their something they could do, and they had their funny moments and things like that. And it was actually set up so that, for one thing, it could have been a load of people following Ethan Hunt around as he does stuff. And by following, I mean Ethan Hunt does something, and then somebody else inadvertently helps him.
Yes.
By doing something and either knows it or doesn't know it, doesn't know the full extent, and then things progress from there from that reason.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
In the plot, but as it was, that's not what happened. most people are on the program already, and those who weren't, sometimes there were some random things that happened or things that couldn't be expected.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. Things like the them driving around in the 4x4.
The comedy in the film is you will laugh out loud. I don't care who you are, you will laugh out loud. The cinema laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really good.
I mean, it's I just trying to think. What's it we were gonna? Well, there wasn't an end scene. I'll say,
No.
just in case anybody is wondering if they missed an end scene.
No,
there isn't an end scene.
There wasn't one.
And also, another thing about the film.
Go on.
And I don't think we mentioned this. We have then the whole it's not making if it pretty much you could end that film series there, but there's a plot hook to the future.
There is? Oh yes, there is. Yes, there is, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very good way of doing it, as opposed to, the whole thing of just everybody just assuming they're going to get a sequel and leaving them half finished.
Oh, no. RoboCop.
Oh God, yeah.
The new version of RoboCop, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, he gets his silver armor, and then nothing was ever heard from RoboCop ever again.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, but that's an example of one where it didn't resolve.
No.
A lot of it.
The thing with the IMF films is it always resolved it to a point.
Yeah.
You could have ended it at 2 and you would have been happy because Hunt has gone off and got a girlfriend. Or you could end it at 3 because Hunt got married. You could end it at 4. Hunt's still in the...
Yeah.
Well, actually, you couldn't end it at 4 because 4 leads into... No. 4 leads into 5.
Yes, because actually I hadn't seen 4 recently, but but apparently at the end of that they say the next assignment is to investigate something called the Syndicate, which they say he's been working for a year on.
When you get into the next film, so I do feel that it is a good. Well, let's give it. No, I don't know. What would last thoughts? What are your last thoughts on the film? Well, you should have seen it by now if you're watching the spoiler things. Really?
Oh no, I'm not saying. I'm just thinking about what it's. I think it's very well put together. The cinematography, the plot works very well. There was one thing that I did also see. As soon as I saw somebody testing out how long they were. The girl testing out how long she could breathe underwater.
Yeah.
I was just like, she's going to be going underwater in this sequence, and there was like, I was just kind of waiting for that to happen. Because there's no other reason that you would show somebody doing that.
Yeah.
Except there was. Because here's what I thought.
Go on.
You know the hard drive contained that little lipstick hard drive.
Yes.
Contained the coordinates, contained the information for that data storage thing.
Yeah.
Right. Guess what I thought was going to happen based on the way that the house looked?
Turns into Tony Stark's mansion?
Nope. I thought they had arrived at the place, and the reason that it looked completely innocuous was because the water around there was hiding the facility.
Yes.
Like they were going to use the diving suits to the side and dive down and find out that the water goes really deep. And there's like an underwater entrance and all this stuff, and it leads to, and they are at the facility.
Yeah.
That's designed to look like a house. So I was fully expecting that to happen. Then I was just like, but they one-upped it because they made it, the actual location they used was so much better.
Yes. Yeah.
However, there is one thing that does occur to me.
Go on.
Given the location, and it's one thing that occurred to me at the time, really thinking about it.
Go on.
Which was, you have all this. Pretty much, you have a facility that has to keep the secret data thing is kind of integral to the power plant.
Yeah. Now,
you have the server room where the water goes directly into there. Now the staff don't know that, but if at any point somebody say accidentally dropped something, like say one of the workers' helmets or a wrench, it just goes straight down. And that's something that occurred to me because she was on that walkway thing. Back in the walkway, and I'm just like, well, what happened to that twisted down? Because that's supposed to be on 24/7. And I was just like, then that plant must have some really odd safety regulations, was what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think
but
you're right.
It exceeds, yeah, because imagine something like that whizzing around inside there. With the... Okay, I don't know what that thing was that he took off. That includes the card. No, maybe it's because I'm not that technical, but what was it that you take off and put on?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you didn't... No, right, I wasn't the only one who was wondering what that was.
It is cinema computing, I call it. Basically...
Pretty much, yeah.
You sort of make up something that makes it look interesting.
I think it is. And I'm not saying I have a problem with that. I'm just saying I didn't know what that was. I was just like, but it's not something I thought at the time. It's something I thought about afterwards. But yeah, I would say the whole dropping something in there thing.
Okay.
But just trying to. No, I can't really think of. And that was the one scene which went totally differently from what I was expecting. I was expecting there to be like steps coming out of the water and some kind of cool spy thing, but it turned out to be just somebody's house.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other location was so much better than what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like, oh, they're doing a house.
Yes.
This is kind of surprising considering it's Mission Impossible. Maybe they'll have some kind of cool gadget thing, and they actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was something that was interesting. Yeah, I do also like the fact that pretty much the guy's an opposite to Ethan Hunt, the main bad guy.
Yes.
He is. If they all have their counterparts, and they do to quite an extent, the female agent is more... She's kind of combined field ops and kind of specialist work. which there is a team member who does that in Ethan Hunt's team.
Now, I've got to say, the female, she's Bond. If
she
kind of
is that. She's Bond, yeah, because she does get, she can kill, she can fight, she can kill people.
She doesn't do the incredible stunts, but she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she can drive. If you put, I would say not a certain situations. I would say you put her in pretty much any situation, and she can give a good go.
Yes.
And that's Bond, really. Bond,
yes.
You don't have to tell Bond that there's. If you don't tell Bond that there happens to be that happens to be a bomb, and only for him to turn it, and so he can do some training for it. He can botch through it.
Yeah.
And he was doing more than bots. He was clearly like a fully trained field agent.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Was there anything?
I think we've been going for about an hour. Yeah, an hour, 12 minutes.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there's anything in particular that were missed.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I would say yeah. There is one more. There is one more thing.
Go on.
It's just that I don't. I do very much like the fact that they didn't just have a character who knows nothing about spying, like say a government guy or something like that, or a committee who in the end just turns around and says, "Oh, well, sorry, we were really stupid not to do that, to mess with the people who clearly have to save the world every day."
Yes, yeah.
Very sorry and have a medal. Now, they didn't do that because what they did was the far more difficult task of actually bringing around the guy that you've just been saying, yeah, he's nice, but he doesn't have a damn clue what he's doing.
Yeah.
And bringing him around to be a character that you like, because let's be honest, the first time you see that character, his points may seem valid, but you know, as somebody who's watched the films, about how wrong they are.
Yes.
And he's just pretty much somebody who's splitting up the team that you've come here to watch.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing. That bloke would be excellent at CinemaSins.
He would actually, because he went through all the points. Like it's a, he went through all the points. Like now, as it's a things like the whole. It's a well, yes, but they also caused this and they did this and he was very thorough.
Yes, yeah, he was.
He was pretty much doing CinemaSins for all their other missions, including picking up the points of. You know, if you just missed this, you might have caused a catastrophe. If not, which is not something I actually thought about.
No.
Until he mentioned it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could do CinemaSins, but he was turned around from that.
Yeah.
To somebody who you end up starting to trust more because his motives are good.
Mm.
And he gets better and learns, and in the end, you're just like, yeah. You're actually a really nice guy who's actually learned about how to do the actual trade.
Yes.
Because, and I think there is actually there is actually kind of respect, I would say, to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, because they do a redo of the first scene.
Yes.
Where originally the guy was saying, "Well, you're done here because when you're done with when we're through this hearing, you're just done."
Yeah.
And then I'll take over and do things right. And they do a redo of that one with him more experienced, actually playing the game properly.
Yeah.
And reestablishing a team that should never have been removed in the first place.
Yes, quite.
So I did like the fact they tried to do that symmetry.
Yeah. The whole film was brilliant. If you're watching this, you've probably seen it already. It's
Well, hopefully you have, because that's pretty much. There are that's.
It's spoiler heavy, but we haven't given away some of the good bits. So, Owen, do watch out for an Aston Martin. Only I saw it, so don't actively watch for it. I'm just being a really big goddamn nerd. For God's sakes, I am wearing a shirt that says Microsoft Office 2000. So, yes, I am a nerd.
Yeah.
Class A, if you please. For God's sakes. Bond poster. Casino Royale is one of my favourite films. So, yeah, I am... When it comes to this kind of thing, I know what I'm talking about. So,
trying to think of anything else. I mean, the one character who justifiably pretty much got stitched up in the end was the head of was the British, effectively head of MI6.
Yes. And yeah.
And he was shown to be not a nice guy.
No.
And not actually helping anyone. Because by doing things like wiping the data...
Oh, no. Let's stop there, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is, he didn't get a redemption.
No.
He just got... He was just going to get fired in the end because he fired trank darts into everyone.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, and that's because his character in particular was,
a twat.
I would say, he was a twat, yeah, because it's that he did things like deleting the information, and sending it back in simply for no real reason, except for the fact that she was just kind of holding back this problem, which was gonna come up, which, if they didn't hold it back, was actually going to appear and then just kind of explode effectively.
Yeah, I got to admit,
but
it is.
Yeah, Karen.
That film, Rogue Nation, is one of the best Mission Impossible films. There is no way you cannot say it isn't. Yeah, I think. Unless you want to say something else, I think that's it, really.
Just trying to think if there's anything. Well, the addition of Simon Pegg to the team still is, and actually, his role.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Pegg's role is actually is a role that has existed, but has not been filled until Simon Pegg came along. Because I just recalled who is the replacement to.
Yes, the elevator bloke in Mission Impossible 1.
Exactly, yeah. Which they've never had since then. They haven't had a specific tech guy.
Luther, the bloke played by Vin Rames. He is the tech guy.
That's true. Oh yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah, hacking into the Russian satellite and yeah, I do love the quote where it says like for mere mortals. Forever when they're doing the hacking. For me, we're done.
No, for me, I could have done this at home.
Yeah, he could have done this. It's just like, and also the fact that he knows he's worked with Ethan enough that he knows that he doesn't know this person, but the way the drawing's done,
is that he's seen her enough times that he trusts her.
Yeah, and it shows in the way he did the drawing.
Yeah. The dickhead doesn't get a very good drawing.
No, he doesn't. It's just that, and well, throughout the entire thing, he doesn't get some. He just gets it. I think that drawing is just passed around all the time, but he gets. I'm not sure actually who's worse though. I actually think the spy guy who created it and then who created the entire thing and then tried to cover it up is worse. Because at least the other guy believed that he believed in what he was doing.
Yes. Okay. Let's end it now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. There was a. Nope, I can't think of any. Oh, no, yeah, it's yeah, that's what I was going to say was, yeah. At least, yeah, it's of all the people who are actually, I think really one of the main villains in the film is actually, is actually the guy who hypothetically said you could have the 00 section, people who just go around killing with no connection.
Yes.
And then when the thing was cancelled, actually knowing it existed and then covering up all evidence of its existence.
Yeah.
I think he is more villainous than the guy who was doing it, because at least the guy who was doing it was saying like, yeah, you know, I'm just doing this because I was doing because I want to make some real changes, and you don't get the impression that that he considers them to be bad things.
Quite.
He's wrong in it, but really the guy who is deliberately sending an agent that he's kind of have an agent in there all the time, just simply really to cover it up.
Yeah.
And things like that. That's worse.
Okay.
And the little disc, which can only be activated by one person. Very nice touch.
Oh yeah.
It means that the plot has to go there.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, given the fact that you had an ace hacker there, if you just said there's a file, he could get that file.
Yeah.
It had to be done that way.
Two ace hackers there. Now that shows how bad it is.
That's true, actually. Yeah, you had two ace hackers, and both of them said no. They just said you can't do this.
Yeah. Okay.
The second guy was kind of, I think he was more practical. Peg was more an actual hacker. That guy was more hacking, but also
no. In the original film, he took down NATO Ghost Comp.
He did, yes. I'm not saying he's worse. I'm saying that Peg is more just the hacking, and well, he could do Peg's job. He can also do the practical stuff like physically rigging an aerial to hack into a Russian satellite. He does a lot of physical rigging as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening.
But I can't think of anything else. I mean, it's first impressions are a very good film, and aside from the couple of flaws that we said, but they're not really flaws.
No.
They're like they're minor things in a very good film.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Watching, because I've had my webcam up because I thought, why not? Say goodbye.
Yep. Goodbye, and well, I would say I'd recommend seeing this film, but if you're hearing it at the end of this, then this could be interesting. But it's thanks for listening, and
oh yes,
if we'll
your
be doing...
computer will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh no.